We just crashed through to 60,000 US dollars for a Bitcoin. It is now the start of June, and after the cycle of Bitcoin going over $120,000 for a Bitcoin, it's now time to obviously start planning for the accumulation phase. So I wanted to talk through this and how I'm approaching this based on the knowledge that I've accumulated from working from two of the very largest crypto channels on this platform, Crypto Banter, Coin Bureau, and through the learnings that I have had in learning to trade with Trade Travel Chill, in which if you want to learn how to trade with Trade Travel Chill and not get done by all the pumps and dumps, then there's a link in the description down below. So when it comes to my accumulation, my understanding now is that basically we topped out March of last year, and then it slowly collapsed throughout the rest of last year, through to what we are now. I was working with Crypto Banter 2 years ago, Coin Bureau last year, and I was learning to trade with Trade Travel Chill. And I have made a bit of money, and I lost a fair bit of money through pumping and dumping and through the futures and leverage and stuff like that. I've been too overeager. I've jumped into random projects. I've believed the hype. I've collapsed under pressure. I've made money on Doge, everything you possibly think. So now that I've been in the cycle for a cycle and a half now, I see what's coming a mile off. Now, it's true, history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme, and the same with the markets. At the current moment, we are heading down towards the bottom of the bear market. And I believe, as based on the 4-year cycle, we will bottom out about now, maybe in 3-4 months time as well. Christmas this year is normally a good time to kind of start your heavy accumulation. I'm very, very lucky that I retreated into spot bot trading. In fact, there's a link to my bot in the description down below. The reason for this is that I was chasing if I just put 5x leverage and it goes up, I can make 5 times the amount of gains, and then I can put those gains into the next one and the next one. And there was no risk management in my brain until I came across Trade Travel Chill. I then learned how to trade properly. I learned how to understand patterns. I learned how to risk on and risk off within the market. And you learn that, yeah, you could make 5x or 10x or 50x, but in all honesty, you're likely to lose that sooner or later. Everybody at the casino does really, really well until they don't. So I now trade with spot bots, in which what it does is it works on a grid. So every time it goes down, it buys more Bitcoin, and every time it goes up, it sells the Bitcoin for USDT, and then So what I do is I get a continual kind of benefit and a continual profit, which I then roll back into the bot. That's what I'm doing at the moment. That's how I'm hedging. That's how I'm accumulating. But what I'm also going to do between now and pretty much this time next year is these are the lowest prices you will see altcoins and Bitcoin for a very long time. And then next year, not this Christmas, next Christmas, we'll start to see it recover more and more and more. I honestly believe we'll get the lowest price of Bitcoin in December this year. We've just hit 60, and it was quite a solid thump, which you've got to think that's 60,000 for a Bitcoin. It came down from $126,000. So you're looking at a 50% drawdown from top. These drawdowns are anywhere between 50 and 70%. In my modeling, I'm only talking through how my brain works. At no point is this financial advice. This is just me considering how I think it will go. So if we're going down to 60, we might go down to 55, 50. A very good friend of mine is suggesting that we could look at a bottom of around about 52k. I'm okay at buying in at 60. You've got to think that this went up to $126,000 per Bitcoin. So right now you're on a 50% discount. You will kick yourself in 4 years' time when Bitcoin hits 200,000 for a coin and you couldn't buy a slice of it at 60K. So I'm going to start to accumulate Bitcoin. I'm going to put it within the bots as well, so it kind of accrues interest by wobbling. But I also like the idea of getting some Solana this time around. I missed the run up on the last bull. I bought into the FUD of the network going down, and I could have bought Solana at $7, and it went all the way up to what, 200 and something. But I like the idea of Solana. I like the idea of ETH. Once again, ETH is the silver to Bitcoin's gold. There will always be additional chains that are out there, but Telegram's got their I believe it's NotCoin. I think that could be an impact. We're going to see a lot more stable coins. There's going to be a hell of a lot more adoption within the next 2 to 3, 4 years. They're already getting cards that settle in USDT. You've already got Trump in the White House using it more and more. In fact, once you know that they're making money, and he's made hand over fist money through his presidency based on Trump coin and World Liberty and whatever, Trump coin, Melania coin. It's become more mainstream. Now, that does mean that there's more banks within it, right? And you've got strategy accumulating, which brings up the base of it all. I believe his acquisition price was around about 67,000, Michael Saylor. So I don't think it will ever really go below 60, 55, 50 at most anymore. Now, I might be wrong. Like, Michael Saylor might be absolutely a genius, but he's done it slightly wrong. He's gone too far, and it crashes down to 40K, and he has to sell it all, and that absolutely rocks Bitcoin, and we might see a 30K Bitcoin. I don't think so, right? I think the institutions are now fully aware of what Bitcoin could be worth and will be worth. Plus, with the likes of Elon Musk within the whole exchange, you've got to think that, right, Elon Musk is just about to float SpaceX, in which he'll get trillions of dollars and even more trillions of dollars if he lands people on Mars and gets 1 million people on Mars. How are those payments going to be made? Is going to be in some form of crypto, and everyone's more willing to trust the gold of crypto in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is always going to be my heaviest allocation. Ethereum, I've still got a soft spot for ADA in my heart, even though some people say that it's a dead dino coin. I've always liked the staking on Cardano because it's just built in. So those are my core that I'm going to be looking at. But I'm also thinking this time around, I'm going to allocate 5 to 10% of my portfolio to slightly more hype-based stuff, because I missed Hyperliquid, and I missed the run-up of Zcash, and I missed the fart coin and Pepe, and because I was still too focused on leverage. I've learned this time round that you never really, unless you're absolutely solidly sure. Like, if I had the money, I'm dying with hay fever. If I had the money, I would be, I would consider, like, if I was to win the lottery, I'd be more than happy to buy, say, 10 Bitcoin, forget that they exist, and maybe even long 1 or 2 Bitcoin at 2x, 3x, knowing that 60K is really low, and 126 was the highest. You know what I mean? I wouldn't 10x, I wouldn't 50x it. I'd make sure there's a good long stop loss and stuff like that, in which then the only way this is going to crash is if it absolutely, World War III happens, Michael Saylor loses all of his Bitcoin, banks declared a ban. It would have to be really heavy FUD. So I've waffled enough. That's my approach, I believe, for the upcoming bear market that we are in, the accumulation phase and the start of the next 2 years. What are you accumulating? What do you believe in? And do you think that 61K is the bottom, or do you think we're going further down? Please let me know. Why not check out my links in the description? So if you want to learn how to trade safely with Trade Travel Chill, that's my suggested program. There's a link in the description down below. And, you know, with all the goodies, sign up for all of my other exchanges. I'll see you soon. Boom.